Rachel Tenner, you've been Fargo's casting director since the beginning. So how do you approach each new season now?
Basically in the same way every time. You get the scripts, it's a new story, but the thing about Fargo is tonally, everything has stayed the same since the first season. From the movie to the first season and throughout, that's always the number one thing is the tone of it. So in that regard, there's not that much different in the process of how you approach it. It's just really the new characters and how you want to bring them to life and everything.
hmm So does Noah Hawley tell you anything about the season beforehand, or do you just wait for the scripts?
Not really. That's a good question. I don't think that I get much of a heads up until I read it. Yeah, you know what? I don't really get. Maybe once like something will seep through, from a conversation, but I really don't have a sense of what's happening until I read the scripts.
So
Yeah.
so what was your reaction when you read these scripts for season five?
I love them. I love this one. I thought this season felt closest to maybe like the first season.
hmm
It reminded me of that, and I just love the story, and it's exciting. When you read these scripts, they're so vibrant. He's such a great writer. He really is. When you read these, it's you're taken off into that land, and your brain starts going automatically. Like you already start, thinking of your ideas and starting to like think about the list you want to start making and everything like that. I find them very inspiring when I read them.
hmm
And
Uh,
everything's different. Like no one's a repeat. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt,
yeah.
but it's
Oh,
not
no,
like
no, no. You
not
could continue
repetitive.
talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like every season's a different story, and the characters, they don't feel repetitive. Although, I mean, I guess you'd tell me if you thought they did, but to me, it doesn't when I read it. So
I love the casting in the show because I feel like you guys cast like well-known names, but they also feel like outside of the box in the casting. And even someone like Juno Temple for this season as Dot, like, obviously now everyone knows her from Ted Lasso, but she's also been around for a really long time. So it's
exactly.
like you're kind of casting an actor you've been aware of for a while, but now she has this like hugely popular role. So it's also kind of like subverting expectations too. Was that something you had in mind when
I
you
don't
cast
like
her?
we certainly don't think about it when we're doing it to say
hmm
like, oh, this will be clever if we take someone who's known for this and make them do this. It's a lot more organic than that, whether they feel like they're right for the role and what they can bring to it. But you're right, like someone like Juno, I have known obviously for forever, from a ton of projects that she's done. So I had a bigger, broader sense of who she was as an actor outside of Ted Lasso. So I think that brought us to her in an easier, faster way around that. It is, however, fun, and it might be part of the subconscious of it all. Is thinking of people, that you'd like to see, like someone that you've known can do that something different and just hasn't had the chance to, and getting to use them that way. Like I'm sure everyone here on our panel would agree. Like that's one of the more exciting things to do, and let the world see a different gear for them.
for sure. I mean, like
Yeah.
similarly with John Hamm to this season, that I mean, I think we know he can do comedy. He's incredibly funny, but this performance also, darker, a little bit more menacing.
Right.
So how did his name come about?
He was kind of an easier discussion because obviously again, he's got a huge body of work, and Noah had also worked with him in his feature. So that was a much easier discussion around John and understanding what he's capable of doing and where we want to take him with this. I think sometimes it's kind of like, does that actor want to go there?
hmm
You know what I mean? Like, does he want to present himself that way? Because that character is pretty out there, but in the best way. But and he seems game for anything. So
I feel like John Hamm would say yes to nipple rings immediately.
immediately, exactly, and that's such a big part of the discussion, the nipple rings. Like, I feel like we had so many talks about those nipple rings,
Oh
but
my, just
yeah.
like what they would look like, or just
I
like
think it's just kind of like making sure people understand that,
yeah.
who this character is, because it is such a defining part of who the character is.
Mhm.
Oddly, I know it's such a simple thing, but just making sure everyone's comfortable
Yeah,
with it. It's so
for
weird to say.
sure.
It's
And then
20.
you have the Coen brothers connection with Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Right.
So was like, is that the reason you guys went after her for this part, or?
I mean, I think that's there's again, because tone is such a big piece of
Mhm.
it, and when we're lucky enough to get somebody who's been in the cone world and knows how to navigate that space, it is an easier process, but that wouldn't be why we went to her. You know, it's kind of like the icing on the cake. I think we were excited to, I mean, she's just the depth to her is remarkable. I mean, she's
Yeah.
got a body of work that is insane. And so I think that we were excited to kind of see her do some of those, like use some of those muscles again and some comedy too.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
just like it's fun for the fans to make the connection.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember that when that Hudsucker part, I'll never forget that, she's like, I'll
Mhm.
bet my Pulitzer on it, like it
Yeah.
sticks with you forever. So we were excited to get her.
hmm Well, for some of the supporting parts, like, like what we were talking about before, like Joe Keery is Gator, now like, everyone knows him from Stranger Things, but this
Right.
was like such a great, like, wow, like who knew kind of performance from him. So it was like auditioning him for that part.
It was great. I was grateful that he wanted to go through the process of it and let us, show everyone what else he's capable of doing. And I mean, I think a lot about our jobs, collectively, again, everyone would say the same thing is that, we hope as casting directors that we're seeing a bigger picture of an actor than maybe you are or what audiences are, so that we can take that leap. And then hopefully you have producers and directors who share that same vision or share that same passion or share that same openness to just make those leaps. A lot about Fargo, I feel like over all these seasons is just taking a leap and being like, I'm sure he'll get it. I'm sure he'll get there. You know what I mean? Like, let's just go for it. And I can't think of a single person who has not risen to the occasion.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like
Yeah.
and it's like some parts are also or like performances are like surprising too, where it was like a discovery sort of like
Yeah.
Sam Spruill as Old Munch. I feel like that probably was difficult to cast, just like
That was a hard
the
one to
characters. Yeah.
cast.
So what was it like finding him
Our
for that part?
sugar, right? That it wasn't a hard one to cast that we couldn't find it.
Hmm
It just was as you've seen it, like that role is very complicated and unique. And we got to do a big search for it. So that was fun, just a really big European. I mean, yeah, it was definitely more European based search. So it was fun to see and meet a whole bunch of new actors. And obviously Sam, someone we knew from before as well, and who found those qualities of Munch and just kind of brought it to life in this very quiet, odd way that was both funny and chilling,
For sure.
you know?
How important is it that they're able to nail the Minnesotan accent? Because you'll have like a dialect coach,
Right.
once
We
you
always have a dialect coach. We've had the
Mhm.
same dialect coach. We've actually, I think we used this coach that we used actually did the movie for Fargo.
Mm.
And then she's also been a part of the series since the beginning. So we have some kind of continuity that way. And I don't think it's important for them to nail it in the auditions. It's,
Mhm.
I think we just say if you can throw in maybe like a slight version of it, just to kind of hear it a little bit,
Yeah.
because the rhythm.
Just say an "aw geez" or
Ah, right. Oh,
yeah.
geez, right. I'm from Chicago, if you can't tell anyway, so my A's are so twangy. And to go to Minnesota, I just have to take my O's and go O's,
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
take your O's.
It's just
But
like the Minnesota nice. So
what's that?
the Minnesota nice. That's
Yeah,
just
Minnesota
the
nice. Like
classic.
yeah, absolutely. When I did A Serious Man, I went and lived in Minnesota for a few months when we did that movie. And so we were like knee deep in, I mean, it's not like
All the Minnesota nice that you can
it's
get.
all of the Minnesota. It was the best. It's the best. It's like the best place. Minneapolis is so fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing I love about Fargo is the character names. I feel like Fargo has the best character names in the game. I don't know what's going on in Noah's mind, but do you like keep the names in mind, like Danish Graves or like Gator Tillman? Do you keep that in mind when you're casting? Like because in real life you're like, sometimes you're like, oh, he doesn't look like a Robert, she doesn't look like an Amanda. But so do you think about the names when you're reading people?
No, I don't. I don't. I don't. I think that, I mean, you would never change it because like, it's like you
No,
said,
no, you would never
so
change the name, but
specific,
it's
right?
just
But
funny to think
it's,
about like you know, like I think it's more reading it, like the names that he comes up with. And then it's
yeah.
like, oh, so and so is playing this character with this weird
And
name.
also when you read all the scripts and you go through it and everything, you're associating the character description with the
Mhm.
name. So when you're really trying to actualize, well, who the character is, then it just
You
kind
have
of
the
automatically
description.
goes with the
Yeah.
name. You know, it just like slides right in. Yeah,
Hmm.
Data Scraves is a great one though.
Yeah.
I do love that name.
We need to rank Fargo names. That's
Oh my God. Yeah, that would
yeah.
that would be funny. I didn't even think about that.
Is there any word on a season 6 yet? I know he's busy with Alien.
Right, right. I think you know what? I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay.
I feel like that would be, if I say anything one way or another, I'll be wrong and it will come back to haunt me.
He can take his time, it's fine. So
Yeah, exactly. No, he is doing Alien. So if it was something that was going to happen, it wouldn't happen for
yes.
like a little while for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, Rachel, it was great speaking with you. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you
Thank
back in a little
you.
bit.
Okay.